Hiya! I would love to show you this card where I've used the Foldover flower as a border. Makes a really, really interesting look on your card, I think. So to introduce the products we'll be using today, out of our configurations range, I have the Charming Lace Trim. In the center of the card, I'm going to be using the Heraldic Square. For the sentiment, I'm going to be using the Toronto as well as the Montreal die to cut it out. And then I'm just going to be using some of these flowers. They're very, very nice for a little additional bit on your card from the delicate garden frame. And here is the diagonal fold-over flower, which we'll be using for our border. And I'm going to be doing some embossing with the Wild Roses, which is an A4 embossing folder by Creative Expressions. So I think I'll start there and do our embossing, and then we'll work upwards from there. So I'm just going to use some coconut white card in my folder, and this is a random pattern, so you can put it in anywhere. Sandwich is the base plate and the raspberry adapter. And through our grand caliber, let's take a peek. There we go. So you can see I've got some gorgeous embossing coming around. That just gives you a little bit of texture for your background, so it's nice. So I'm going to go ahead and add that into place onto my backing. I've done a little bit of piercing with the coconut white card, and I'm using as an accent with this card our new Papyrus cardstock from our Foundations range. It's kind of cross between, it's a little bit peach with a tiny bit of a brown undertone to it. Really pretty, I think. So I'm going to pop that into place. Okay, tidy up. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut our fold-over flower out of just a strip of coconut white card. And tape that down. Now I almost always cut these out of felt to use to make flowers with, but you can cut them out of card. And obviously if you want to do something other than make a flower with them, card's the way to go. There we go. Let me just get a pokey tool to get it started here. Peel this up. In fact, let me go from this way, go towards the chevrons. That's a better choice. There we go. So I'm not pulling against them. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is just take our chevron and we're going to fold down and clip underneath. Skip one, fold down, and it'll only go so far, and you can just fold it when it stops and clip that underneath. Skip to the next one, fold it down. Catch it with the one below it. There we go. So you can see how easy this is. Just fold that into place, and that tip of that will just catch under the next one. And I'll just do a few more here so you can see it. And it does go really quickly too, so it doesn't take very long to do. And they're cut in such a way that they literally will hold each other in place. You don't have to worry about really gluing them down if you have a nice fold to it. Now when I get down to the very bottom, I usually will just put the end in a paper cutter and trim it straight. But I've got some I prepared ahead of time so you can see. Just makes a really interesting, pretty little border for you. And what I've done is I've backed it with the Papyrus card, and then I've added just a little bit of the graceful lace trim to the edge of that, just a little bit of detail. So we'll go ahead and bring this back over. I've added some mounting foam to the back. And we'll put this one on this side of our card. Just get that centered about like that. And we'll do this one. Get it centered to the edge and about like that. Okay, so now we have a really pretty border going for our card. I'm a little crooked there, but you can fuss about in your own card a little bit more. Now, the next thing I want to do is cut the center of that. I'm going to use the outer frame here in the heraldic square. Pop this into place. I want to do some inking, so I'm going to try and tape it in such a way that I'm not going to catch a lot of it. I may have to move that when we do our inking. Quick cut, right through the grand caliber. Let's check it. That's cut nicely. I want to do some embossing, so I'm going to bring that sandwich back in, change it out, tan matte and our pink embossing plate. There we go. Okay, and I think I will just remove that tape so it's not in our way. One of the things when you go to do some inking is sometimes you don't have exactly the right color you need, and that was kind of how I felt with the papyrus. So I'm going to be using a combination of tattered rose and antique linen. So I'm going to start out with my antique linen and just ink all the way around the edge here. And that will bring in kind of that brown tone to match the card. There we go. Catching all those bits. And I'm just using one of our smoothies, and you see there's absolutely no lines with that. It's so pretty. And I'm going to use the same one and just bring in a little bit of that tattered rose. See if we can just brighten that up with a little bit of a pink tone so it matches our card a little better. There we go. And it is fairly, it's kind of a peachy pink, so I think this will match nicely with our papyrus color. And last side. There we go. That's probably not too far off. Maybe a little more pink to it. There we go. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. So let's pop that out of our die. Do a little bit of 2-in-1 on it. Get some of those bits out. There we go. Gently remove that. Oops. So you can see that's really pretty. I think that'll work just beautifully. Now, I have already gone ahead and cut 2 of these with the centers out, and I've glued them just right at the little swirly bits right there. So I can add this one to the center of it and use a little bit of Cosmic Shimmer glue right on the edge there. I think that will probably do the trick. Pop it right in between here and here. There we go. In fact, let's put a little bit top and bottom as well, just to hold it into place. And it'll just give a little bit more decoration to the center of that card. And I also want to add some mounting foam to the back of it. So I'm going to put a couple pieces on here. Kind of raise it up so it's at the same level as our borders. Okay, so bring this back in. And I'm going to sit them in kind of a diamond orientation, just right in between those 2 borders, top and bottom. About like that. I can live with that. There we go. And I've cut the center of the heraldic square in white, and I've gone back in, same exact thing with the tattered rose and the antique linen on the piece behind it so it will all match. Some mounting foam on the back of that as well. There we go. So we'll just catch the edge that I've inked, showing from behind that. And I've stamped my sentiment, cut it out with the Toronto and the Montreal and then the Toronto. I've matched the ink on this one, and I've just added a couple tiny little flowers as an accent from the Delicate Garden frame, and that will go right into the center of that. Really nice. Super easy. The dies have actually done the work for you here, and you've got a beautiful look of a border done with a flower die. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video.